Welcome to Milliways, your one-stop shop for everything in the known and unknown universe. This is the first video in a series that we're going to be calling The Life and Times of. In this, we're going to explore the lives, times, trials, and triumphs of a wide array of people, ranging from actors and directors, artists and authors, to political leaders and world figures. This is Robert Downey Jr.
I am Iron Man.
This is also Robert Downey Jr.
Can we get to court? Please, that's all we want. Hey!
When talking about Robert Downey Jr., it's hard to remember him as anything other than the lovable, sometimes brash Tony Stark, or the cunning and ruthless Sherlock Holmes. But for some of us who grew up in the late 80s and 90s, there's an entire saga that played out for the actor, both on the silver screen and in real life. In 1965, RDJ was born in Manhattan to underground film director Robert Downey Sr. and actress Elsie Downey. From an early age, it seemed like RDJ was born to act. His first credited role is in his father's 1970 film Pound, as a character named Puppy, based on an off-Broadway play also written by Robert Sr. Growing up, he lived in Greenwich Village and was immersed in the avant-garde art scene in the 1970s. That was until 1978, when his parents would divorce and RDJ would move to California with his father. In 1985, he would drop out of high school and move back to New York City, where he lived with fellow actor and friend Kiefer Sutherland to pursue an acting career full-time. RDJ would act in off-Broadway plays before filming the supporting role of Ian in the 1985 sci-fi comedy Weird Science. He would also join the 85 cast of SNL alongside his Weird Science co-star Anthony Michael Hall. Unfortunately, his stint on SNL wouldn't last long. Almost the entirety of the 85 cast would be cut when the season wrapped. From early on, it was clear RDJ had the charm and charisma to act his way out of any situation. This and other supporting roles led to his first major starring role in the film The Pickup Artist alongside Molly Ringwald. The film was largely a commercial bomb. Despite this, it helped endear RDJ with moviegoers. In the 80s, there was a cavalcade of 20-something actors who seemed to star in a wide range of hit 80s films. This group would become known as the Brat Pack, a tongue-in-cheek reference by the media to the 50s era Rat Pack. This included RDJ, Molly Ringwald, Anthony Michael Hall, both of which we mentioned earlier, although Robert Downey Jr. is largely forgotten or not considered to be part of this group. But that's a topic for a whole different video. RDJ would play one of his most dramatic roles to date in 1987's Less Than Zero, playing Julian, a rich, entitled 20-something drug addict. Personally, this is one of my favorite roles for Robert Downey Jr. Less Than Zero is a deep, dramatic story about friendship, love, addiction, and ultimately loss. He's quoted later in life saying portraying Julian was the ghost of Christmas future for him, alluding to the actor's growing drug and alcohol habit during the late 80s. Although the actor was able to maintain sobriety during most of his film shoots, off camera, his time was largely filled with binging drugs and alcohol. Even with his off-screen escapades escalating, RDJ would continue to provide solid performances in several films, including 1992's Chaplin, in which the actor plays the lead role of Charlie Chaplin, the silver screen icon. The film was received with pretty wide critical acclaim, which was largely due to the actor's stellar performance. He would be nominated for Best Actor at the 1993 Oscars, although he would lose the award to Al Pacino for his role in the film Scent of a Woman. He would also marry his first wife, Deborah Faulkner, during this time and attempt drug rehabilitation for the first time. Off the success of Chaplin and his Oscar nomination, RDJ took this as a sign that things were getting brighter after a dark and bitter personal period, even going as far as burying the wardrobe he wore in Less Than Zero in his backyard. In 1993, he would welcome his first child into the world, Indio Downey, and he would continue to act in such films as Natural Born Killers with Woody Harrelson and Only You with Marissa Tomei. Despite the personal turnaround and career success he was experiencing, things would begin to backslide for RDJ.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you this public service announcement from the crew at Milliways. Quote, help us in our struggle against the algorithm overlords by liking this transmission and subscribing to keep up to date on future activity, end quote. Don't panic, join us today.
Things began to escalate quickly as RDJ's actions became more compulsive and reckless, leading to his 1996 arrest following a traffic stop where officers found drugs and an unloaded handgun in his vehicle. While on arraignment, the actor would be arrested once more for trespassing after being found passed out in a neighbor's home. Given his actions, the actor would be sentenced to 3 years probation with mandatory drug testing and counseling. As the media frenzy began to form around him, he went on to star in the 1997 film Two Girls and a Guy alongside Heather Graham. He would work on films and continue to fulfill his mandated counseling and drug testing that was until later in 1997 when he would miss one of his drug tests, leading to the judge remanding the actor for 6 months in LA County Jail. Once released, he would go on to star in the hugely successful Tommy Lee Jones film U.S. Marshals alongside Jones and Wesley Snipes as Special Agent Royce. RDJ would continue to act while going in and out of rehab, including appearing in the music video for Elton John's I Want Love. While RDJ worked his magic on the silver screen, he also worked his magic in the courtroom. That, alongside with his crack legal team, the same lawyers who famously got O.J. Simpson acquitted in 1995, afforded him far more leniency than most people arrested on multiple drug charges. It looked like his luck had run out when in 1999 he would miss another drug test and he would spend over a year in state prison. Malibu Superior Court Judge Lawrence J. Mira is quoted as telling Downey he was manipulative and had exhausted all drug and rehabilitation options as well as the court's patience before the actor was shipped off to the prison facility in Chino. RDJ continued to struggle with drugs and alcohol after prison, being arrested again in 2000. Given his numerous arrests, time in rehab, and prison, mainstream Hollywood had all but written him off. Things had gotten so bad for the actor, he couldn't secure bond, which in many trade industries is specialized insurance which covers the person and the person or company hiring them from any possible liability issues. Most large film studios will not hire an actor who is not bonded. Without bond insurance, it would basically end his career. That was until Mel Gibson, yes, that Mel Gibson, stepped forward and provided the actor with the $1 million needed for bond insurance, allowing RDJ to secure the lead role in 2003's The Singing Detective, a film which is largely considered a box office bomb, much like his first lead in The Pickup Artist. This film also premiered the same year as Gothica, in which RDJ plays Pete Graham, a very solid supporting character to Halle Berry's lead. It was on the set of Gothica that RDJ would meet his current wife, Susan. The Singing Detective and Gothica showed moviegoers a clean, sober RDJ. A man who still possessed the charm and wit fans grew to love without the harmful, self-destructive tendencies. These films, along with 2005's Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and Good Night and Good Luck, both of which were met with some sort of critical success, would help lead to the slow re-emergence of RDJ. It's around this time that RDJ credits his sobriety in large part to his mother Elsie, the 12-step method, meditation, and martial arts, having studied Wing Chun martial arts since leaving prison. Even with his newfound sobriety and cultural resurgence, major studio executives were still uncomfortable with hiring the actor. Even with studio uneasiness, RDJ would go on to play major roles in 2006's A Scanner Darkly and 2007's Zodiac, in which he would portray real-life reporter Paul Avery. It's during this time Marvel announces that Jon Favreau would be writing and directing their first major film production. Favreau has since stated he initially considered Sam Rockwell for the role of Tony Stark, following the actor's stellar supporting role in 2005's Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. But during his process of researching and developing the script, he began to reconsider his choice. Favreau would later go on to say, "Everyone knew he was talented," referring to Robert Downey Jr. Certainly, by studying the Iron Man role and developing the script, I realized that characters seemed to line up with Robert in all the good and bad ways, and the story of Iron Man was really the story of Robert's career. Having realized RDJ was the correct actor to fill the Mark I shoes of Tony Stark, Favreau had to go to Marvel executives and studio head Kevin Feige, to which Kevin and the other top executives bluntly told him no. Even though the actor had completely turned his life around and found his path to sobriety, the studio was concerned given the actor's troubled history. Feige told the director to keep looking for a suitable lead actor. When Favreau told RDJ the studio's decision, the actor said he would gladly do a screen test to put away any reservations in hiring him. The following screen test would go down to solidify RDJ as Tony Stark in the eyes of Kevin Feige and studio executives.
Sorry, I don't laugh at your jokes. I haven't been paid to like all the DoD fat cats in this place, Mr.
It's all
Stark.
right. Stick around. You'll be on payroll soon enough. Call me Tony.
I'm sorry, Tony. I was looking for a more serious answer.
Okay, you're serious. My old man had a philosophy. Peace by definition means having a bigger stick than the other guy, so I feed the good dog. We arm the good guys because you can be sure as shit someone's arming the bad guys.
Nice justification coming from the guy selling the sticks.
You mean my father? My father, who was commended by FDR for working on the Manhattan Project, who helped defeat the Nazis?
As we all know, the success of 2008's Iron Man would not only elevate the actor's career to new heights, but also help spawn one of the most wildly successful and sprawling movie franchises of all time. Iron Man made RDJ a household name again and introduced an entire new generation to the actor's charms. He would also star in the wildly successful 2009 film Sherlock Holmes, another role the actor seemed tailor-made to portray. RDJ would go on to reprise the role in Sherlock Holmes: A Game of Shadows, and the role of Tony Stark a whopping 10 times, with the character having its own trilogy of films as well as playing a major role in several other Marvel films, including the Infinity Saga. In 2012, RDJ and wife Susan would welcome their first child, RDJ's second, Exton Elias Downey, into the world, and 2 years later, their second child, Avery Roll Downey. Famously, the actor walked out of a 2015 interview with a BBC reporter after he began asking the actor deep personal questions about the actor's struggles with addiction. He understandably felt uneasy with these questions as he was there to promote the newest Avengers film. RDJ caught minor heat for walking out, but as many knew at the time, the same reporter pulled a similar stunt with director Quentin Tarantino. At the 2018 world premiere of Infinity War Endgame, RDJ spoke openly about his past in this emotional quote. "I want to talk about the past, present, and future. The past, for me, was 30 years of dependency, depravity, and despair, otherwise known as An Actor Prepares. The present is this moment of glory for all of us, and the future, that is always uncertain. But looking at these friends behind me, it seems like things might brighten up after all. It's impossible to explore the life and journey of Robert Downey Jr., the actor, without speaking openly about Robert Downey Jr., the addict. What RDJ struggled through is all too common with addiction. The path to recovery is rarely easy, and it's almost never a straight line. After years of darkness and struggle, RDJ finally got his moment in the sun. Robert Downey Jr. was fortunate enough to have the means and privilege to seek the best medical and rehabilitation care available. which allowed him the opportunities to turn things around and find a path forward to a clean, sober life. Unfortunately, not everyone is this lucky. If you or someone you know is struggling with drug or alcohol addiction, there are secure, confidential sources that can help provide services or point you to those who can. Everyone deserves dignity and respect, and everyone deserves compassion. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider liking this video and subscribing to see more content like this. Comment down below if there were any interesting facts you never realized about Robert Downey Jr., your personal journey with recovery, or any possible subjects you'd enjoy seeing us do future installments on. No matter what, we hope you have a wonderful day and a beautiful tomorrow.